Hello, everyone. This is Elvio Toro with the Fancy Action Now, and we are going to be doing a trailer reaction. Let it begin. Of the new Batman trailer. So, grown man trailer reaction to this beloved franchise, of which my earliest memory is with my divorced mother living in a trailer with a guy, and I received a what? I received a Batman car as my birthday gift, and it was amazing. Yeah. All right, so I love that. I also received one of those comic book with recording thing where you could follow along in the comic book with the recording you would play. And oh my god, I love that one too. I had a bunch of them. I had a Swamp Thing one too. I had a Swamp Thing. I may even still have it somewhere. Oh my god. All right, so let's go ahead and roll this thing. You're like, what did you just do, bro? All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go hit this thing. Just just a gathering of people in the evening, a place of business. Uh-huh. Respecting that man's right to due process. The message in the latte.
When that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning.
So we're going to go back almost to a Michael Keaton, a little bit darker. That's okay.
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
I'm vengeance.
Black and blue and dead all over.
The look is good. The cinematography is outstanding. Dear God. I like the costume too. I mean, it's a little bit more less fanciful, if not real. Oh, there you go. Well, thank you. Now, there is another trailer that I thought we would just go ahead and run. It's like trailer number 2. Be quiet, dude. Nobody cares. Those Google Fi commercials are absolutely it's this totalitarian observation system, and they're oh, it's kind of folksy, like a folk song. Oh, is this number 2? This number 2? All right, that looks like we're not looking at yeah, okay. All right. You're not necessarily winning me over. That's 245. Official trailer. Let's see. Main trailer. It's a little bit different. Trailer. Let's check this one out. There you go. It's a little bit different. Yeah. Detective Comics. And if you didn't have Batman, you would be nothing. No more lies, baby. It's got a dark, grim look. Light against the dark. But the light is muted. If you notice, all the lighting is muted. And like a golden color. I mean, they're religious in almost every scene. It's exactly the same.
Let's play a game. Just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
You're becoming quite a celebrity.
Right, hello. That's what it's all about, right?
Why is he writing to you?
Because he knows who you are. No more lies. If you don't like lies, this life isn't for you. That's why the truth is so powerful. It disturbs so many. Your mama. I'm from the IRS. A thug. Okay, great. A part of what? 22. So it's 2 and 2. Okay, so interesting. So here are my thoughts. Pattinson is a good-looking guy. He's a good-looking guy. It's a great movie. It looks very good. It looks very well produced. He's not winning me over. He's not winning me over with the toughness. Christian Bale had kind of a... first of all, he's just a bigger man. So, like, if you're a fan of the books, like the classics, Batman is a large man. He is a big boy. So when I see a guy like that, when I see like Pattinson, and he's like, I'm vengeance, and the cadence of the voice, there isn't like, there's a certain gravitas to a man's voice. I don't know if you noticed that. All right, so there's a certain gravitas to a man's voice, to the a little bit of gravel, a little bit of bass that says that I've lived, I've survived, and I'm able to do harm. I'm able to deliver physical violence. And I mean that, I'm sorry, but that is what we're talking about here. We're talking about physical violence. We're talking about fighting scum. And scum know nothing but violence, right? I mean, it's like Lord of the frickin' Flies. And you go out in the world, in the real world, and there are people that will shoot you for your shoes. Okay? That's the kind of scum that you're talking about. You're talking about angry, double-digit IQs with the physical power of men that will do crime and prey on others to, perpetuate their own existence. So, when I see Pattinson, he does his little beatdown. The beatdown was good, but then he's like, I'm vengeance. I would almost have his voice altered and deepened for the film, because even when he pulls his mask, he's like, oh, how am I part of this? He's standing there, and he's this lithe figure. And I don't care what armor that you have on. If you take Mr. Pattinson, who's probably $170 soaking wet, $165, right? And you put him up against somebody like me, who's rocking 270, and I'm gonna wipe the floor with you. I'm gonna push you into a wall, and you're probably going to have an injury. A serious injury at that point. I'm just saying, I'm a very peaceful man, so it's like I don't get up to any of that. But what I'm saying is that, like, the one thing I thought about Bale, at least that guy was $2. At least he was $2. At least he could, keep it 100 twice. And I'm like, at least he's larger. But you see, Michael Keaton did this. Michael Keaton's a very frail dude, and they were able to convey a certain toughness. But I think that was his age. And again, there's a certain thing about a man who has reached a certain age, like you've developed into your final form, in a way. Like Pattinson looks like he's 22 years old. He pulls the mask off and he's got his like black eyeliner on. I mean, he looks like some emo kid I'd see at a freaking at a Cure tribute band show or something. I'm like, okay, all right. It looks good. The production value is excellent. I like Mr. Pattinson. I think he's good, and I think he was an okay choice because they're going to be able to keep him for a few movies. I mean, they usually cast these guys with the idea that you're going to be in a few movies, and unless the first showing is a disaster, which it is not going to be, it is going to be successful. All I'm saying is, in my singular personal opinion, Tyler Stevenson, hello, I see your comments, looked like The Cat with James Brolin, right? I love the fact that they're going back to the classic, The Batman. I love the fact that they've darkened this shit down and they put the light as muted as possible, like this golden muted light, almost like the dark is eclipsing the light and the light has to struggle with the darkness to even emerge on the scene. There's definitely that pattern where it's this muted golden light, like almost like the sun is going into a sleeping period, and it's just not going to put out the energy that it would until it comes back, re-emerging. The avenging sun, the immortal. And when I look at that, I love what's going on there. I love the imagery. I love what's going on there. It's very, what should I say? It's very coterminous, which is what's going on right now. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at the cinematography, impeccable. I'm looking at the aesthetic was impeccable. So it's a winner in my mind. I mean, it's good. Go support this franchise. Go watch the movie. Go support Pattinson. He wasn't winning me over. And I guess, if you're a 14-year-old kid, he's impressive. But if you're me, he's just kind of like, that's a very thin young man. When I think of the Batman, I think of a man in his physical prime. And toward the end of that physical prime, really, to be honest, when I think of the Batman, I think of a man that's over 200 pounds. I think of the Batman as 250 pounds, physically fit, 35 to 45. He's got the experience. He's salty. He's maybe a little bit bitter about things. Again, Batman has a lot of freaking issues. That's the other thing people forget. He's not exactly a balanced figure. That's the point. He's literally disassociating as this alternate personality. The guy's disassociative. I mean, he's a split personality essentially. He's as disturbed as the others. That's one of the major leitmotifs in Batman, is that the villains understand that he's as broken as they are. That's why they have this kind of repartee, almost a camaraderie between the Batman and the Joker. The only problem is the disfigurement, and if you notice, the villains are externally disfigured. Batman is internally disfigured, as bad as they are, and he knows that. Batman is almost like Dexter in the sense that he is a psychopath that lives with a code and thereby justifies the harm that he does. Batman is a vigilante that is tolerated by the powers that be because they are impotent to deal with the level of crime in that city. The city is corrupt, and they're given the resources they're given, but they're not given the specialized resources they need to deal with some of these major criminals. So you have to understand, Batman is meant to be a broken figure. He's meant to be a dark hero. And you can barely tag the name hero onto him because he operates outside the law. He operates outside due process. He visits great physical harm on some of these people. And you can't tell me, if it was reality, when you're beating people that viciously, you're going to kill somebody. You're going to hit a weak mark on their skull or a thin place on their skull, and you are going to kill them. So the Batman kills criminals. All right, we'll leave it at that. Just like Dexter. Dexter says, well, I have to kill. So I'll kill criminals, and I'll try to offset that by denying these people due process. Like Dexter kills people that have actually had their due process and been vindicated. Whether they were guilty or not, they went through the process, the legal process to which we all underwrite, and they are freed on a technicality or lack of evidence or tampering or whatever it might be. But Dexter says, well, that really doesn't matter to me. I operate outside of all that. And I know that they're guilty. Again, no due process. He's just this independent agent deciding what your fate is. He's sentencing you, and then he's executing you. That's a criminal. That's a crime. That's a very serious crime. So let's say I commit a crime. And let's say I'm guilty of that crime. But through mishandling of the evidence, I'm able to step away from that crime and I can never be tried for it again. So you had your chance at me, and now I can walk free and live my life. And I might even be arrogant about it. I might even, I might not speak about it, but I might be like, yeah, well, can't touch me now, and I got away with what I got away with. Yay, yay, hey. Walking down the street, that other person is, maimed or harmed or dead or whatever it is, and I'm just living my life. Piss off. At that point, somebody comes in and decides, I operate outside the law. I'm actually the legitimate party there because I've been freed. Okay, I did the crime, but for whatever reason, I'm freed. I've been through the process. I can never be tried again. This jackhole wants to come in and say, well, I'm going to supersede all that. I'm going to take the role of God. I'm going to take the role of the judge or of the criminal, the justice system or whatever you want to call it, and then I'm going to execute you. I'm not even going to let you argue your case or let you argue for a lighter punishment. That's the other thing too. The legal system lets you debate about what, if you're found guilty, what that punishment will be. Your lawyer, that's part of the process. Once you're found guilty, it's sentencing. And you can go and you can provide arguments as to, okay, the person's not dead, but they're this, or, this person has a history, or they serve the community in some way, or whatever. That person's taking away all of that. So Dexter and Batman, these people are criminals. But they're criminals that attack people that are also criminals. But again, they are deciding that you don't get due process. They are deciding that I am going to visit physical harm on you. See, and that's the thing about the Batman. The Batman is not defensive. They like to portray him as defensive with the armor and the gadgets and the things like that. But he goes and he finds these people. He investigates them. He chases them. Again, Detective Comics, right? Batman is in essence a detective, but that detective is also a vigilante. And the fact that the Gotham City endorses that behavior is absolutely corrupt. So they're operating this one system that says, well, if we're cops, we're going to arrest you, we're going to give you due process, and depending upon how that goes, that's fine. Then we'll either incarcerate you or you'll be freed. Okay. That's how it works. So Gotham has this bipolar 2-level justice system where if you're really bad and you wear an outfit and you have a gang, well then we're just going to let this other guy who is not elected, who is this rich fellow who's just going to come in and prey upon you, take away your due process, take away your life or your men's life, and ruin, just basically wreck you. And then we're going to take you and, if he doesn't kill you, then we'll go ahead and incarcerate you. So I love the Batman. All right, I love the Batman, and I like this movie. Pattinson did not win me over as far as like the toughness and the ugliness of Batman. He's not ugly. He's a beautiful man. He's very lithe and lean. He's about $170. If he's I'm telling you, he's probably like $165, or $170, something like that. That is not like winning. Again, as a grown man, I would want to see somebody a little bit more thick and grown that could take that kind of physical punishment and to mete out that physical punishment as well. But I want you to remember about the Batman. The Batman is mentally ill. The Batman is a vigilante. He operates outside of justice. He's taking away, and he kills people. Sorry. You cannot beat on people like that and not wind up killing someone. Like 1 in 5, you're going to wind up either hurting them or permanently maiming them. All right. He does serious harm, and he operates outside the law, and he's unregulated. Let me ask you this. Let's say one of those henchmen is a brand new henchman. He hasn't committed any real crimes yet. He's joined the group. And maybe he's guilty of misdemeanor crimes, but he happens to be on the scene when Batman busts in, and Batman just starts busting heads, and he hits this guy and paralyzes him. Or whatever. He permanently harms this person. Can that person then go to the government and say this and get redress? Get remedy for what happened to him? No. Well, he could sue the city because you're shining lights in the sky going, hey, the bad guys are over there. We're like the state or city funded police force, but that's some tough shit over there. We're just going to let you go in there and fucking bust heads and kill and maim people. I mean, you can sue the city at that point for remedy. But again, I think you got to think about, I don't want to take the mystique away from Batman. I like Batman. I like the mystique of Batman. But this guy is one arrogant son of a bitch, this rich guy who goes out there, and you have to remember, most criminals are poor people, are low IQ poor folk. And this rich billionaire takes all this technology. He goes out there and he treats them like they're scum. They don't even get due process. That's tyranny. I mean, that's like jackbooted thug shit. So it's funny when you think about the Batman. I don't know why I went off on that rant. Like, I love the Batman. I love this movie. I think it's going to be very good. As I said before, this is like the third time I'm going round robin on this one. As I said before, Pattinson is a good actor. I'm glad they picked him. And if you're 13 or 14 years old, he's probably looks like a badass to you. But to me, he looks like an emo. Again, he looks like he's in a Cure tribute band. You know what I mean? I mean, Spider-Man is supposed to be like that. Like, Spider-Man is supposed to be this guy who's like this 150-pound, goofball who gets his being is literally altered. Batman is just a large man, is like a large physically powerful man with technology. So there's no superpower there, So I mean, that's part of the appeal of Batman, to be honest, is he's a man. He's a powerful man. He's also a psychopath, but he's a psychopath with a code, just like Dexter. Dexter and Batman, super close. I bet when they were developing the character of Dexter, they considered Batman. So we got some other comments here. Gothlic, no innocence in Gotham, way ahead of its time. That work of fiction be. Who Joe Biden? Yeah, Joe Biden. What up? Almost done work. It's Baltimore Retro Gaming, everybody. He is the man with the plan. He is the shooter master. We are going to pop off of here. I'm probably going to do some more horror gaming today because I can. This has been LVO Tour of the Fancy Action Now. Thank you to all of the faithful in the chat. Ty Lord, Gothic, Dead Game Collector, Baltimore Retro Gaming. You're the reason that I keep